Hello, welcome to Skill Building 201. I am Diane, and the first workshop is Listening Effectively, Part 1. My first job is to convince you how important listening is. Listening is one of the greatest skills, if not the greatest, that you can learn in your life to help all of your relationships and your performance. Couple of quotes about listening. Oprah said, "One of the greatest gifts you can give to anybody is your full attention." Henry David Thoreau said, "The greatest compliment that was ever paid me was when one asked me what I thought and attended to my answer." Malcolm Forbes, Money Guy, says, "The art of conversation lies in listening." And M. Scott Peck said, "You cannot truly listen to anyone and do anything else at the same time." Multitasking, way overrated. You don't do well at any of it. Some of the failures of listening include marriages. Communication breaks down. Jobs. I've heard people say they left because the boss just doesn't listen. Or perhaps you don't listen well enough to the instructions that are given you at the job place and thus don't perform your tasks that well. I have heard that organizational snafus are generally because of communication breakdowns. There are many ways that things can go wrong if communication goes wrong and listening is involved. Listening is an important part of it. Okay. There are 4 modes of direct communication: writing, reading, speaking, listening. I know there are all kinds of nonverbals that play in, but these are the cornerstones. These are the ways that we start off doing it, and everything else is peripheral. It's included, but it's not as important as these. How are they taught in school? Writing is taught the most. Reading, the second most. Speaking, the third most. And way down at the bottom is listening, if at all. Any listening skills that you have developed are generally purely by chance. Out in the world, you graduate, you go out into the world. And how are you using those? Writing is the least used unless you're a writer. Reading is the second or third least used, the second or third most used, however you look at it, depending on your job, and the same for speaking. And the most used is listening. Listening is the weakest link in the communication chain. And it isn't something that you can either do or not do. No, it's a skill you can develop. True, it might be a little easier for some than others. That's everything. But you can learn it. And I've seen it. I've seen it happen, and it makes a tremendous difference in people's lives. The payoffs are huge. Okay? Good manners listening. This is what I call Listening Effectively 101. These are skills that I thought everybody had in life, but I have found that that's just not true. So let's say somebody important in your life, it could be a significant other or a parent or a child or a coworker or a boss, says they need to talk to you about something. You are the listener then, and here's what you need to do for good manners listening. Stop talking. Don't interrupt. No distractions. Your phone is silenced. No multitasking. You can't listen well if you're multitasking. Look the speaker in the eye. If possible, stand together or sit together to equalize the power structure, but also to encourage the good give and take back and forth. Be interested, be present. Don't have your own agenda as you listen. Don't plan your menu for that night. Don't think what you're going to say to the teenager in the house when you get home. Be respectful, kind, respectful always through all of this. As you listen, try not to assume, conclude, judge, or filter. That's quite an order. We all do it. We're going to talk more about that in the future. But right now, let's just say, I'll say over and over, try as you listen to set yourself aside. I visually picture myself taking myself by the shoulders and putting me over there, and then I become a blank slate, and I can really try to hear what they're saying, what they mean. Hear the speaker out. Let them keep talking until they're done. Reflect back what you've heard the speaker say. You can use their own words, you can paraphrase, distill, try to get to the heart of the matter, and people have done that for me many times. I maybe kind of haven't planned what I'm going to say, and I might be a bit emotional, and I might kind of put in things that don't belong there and mislead, and people have said to me, I think what you're saying is blah blah. And I say, yes, thank you, or I say, no, that's not quite it, and I try again. Listen to the speaker's response regarding your understanding of the message. You may have to adjust your feedback, and it goes from there. Regardless of what happens, the speaker feels heard and validated, and that makes a huge difference. We know we don't get everything we want, particularly in the workplace. There's so many people and factors involved, but at least if you've been heard and validated, then you feel like you've done your part. That's usually good enough. Okay. Good manners listening, that is. Coming up, part 2 is going to be listening styles. And we're going to go over all the different listening styles and when they're appropriate and when they're not. And it's all building up to active listening, which is the biggie, the granddaddy of all of this. And that's the point of it all. Without active listening, we don't really have a good workshop. It's going into depth about what you do when someone who's important to you needs you to really listen to them, needs you to really hear them. Part 3 will be on active listening, a whole lot about it to develop your skills at doing it. And part 4 will be tying things up and learning how we can be better listened to so that it can work both ways. And of course, one way is to have people look at my workshops. Some thoughts. When you become a really good listener, it does not mean that you have to listen to anybody, anytime, for however long they want. No, it doesn't work like that. It's your choice. It's your gift you give to them. It's generally for people important in your life. And the others you can set boundaries around. We will talk more about the boundaries that you can set so that you're not victimized by somebody who expects you to listen to them endlessly. Yes, so good. That is it for this part, and I look forward to seeing you back at Effective Listening Part 2. Thank you.